continuing from where Ibrahim stopped last week. So I don't know how many of us took out time to try out the what we did last week. So if you have not been able to do that, please try to do so in your spare time. All right, so please try to do so in your spare time. So what are we trying to achieve? We are trying to create a device ordering app, right? So we're just imagining an organization that does PC refresh, say every 3 years, and currently that process is manually done. So what we want to do, or what we are trying to do with our solution, is to automate the process. So that's the objective of what we are trying to do. So last week, this is where we stopped. So last week, the things that we're able to do very quickly is we created a Canvas app in portrait mode. We were able to add the galleries from our Excel data source. We were able to point to specific items on the gallery to show up. We were able to ensure that when we select a particular gallery, the items, when we select a particular manufacturer, all the devices against that manufacturer comes up. We're also able to format our dollar sign. We're also able to show up the name of the person that is logged on when you click on the app. So these are the highlights of the things that we showed last week. So this week we'll be continuing from there. Just waiting for my app to come up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do this week is to create a collection. So what the collection is going to do is going to store the items that the user selects. And the user will be able to preview and compare the devices. So that's what we're going to do this week. So if you are joining us for the first time, or if you have not been able to catch up on what we did last week, the videos are on our YouTube, so you can go to the MCTNAIJA channel on YouTube and you'll see our videos there. All right, so let's get started today. Okay, so this is our app. This is a preview of the app. Okay, still loading up. So these are the things that we did last week, right? So you formatted these are the systems, these are the manufacturers on this side. All right, so now today we're going to start. First thing we're going to do is add a checkbox. So our gallery, so click on this, come to checkbox. So if can you hear me? I'm just confirming that I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And you can see my screen. Okay, that's great.
Yes, we can. Loud and clear, sir.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, so we're going to add a checkbox. Like I said, the purpose of the checkbox is to be able to compare devices, right? We want to pick and compare so that we can make our choice properly. So we come to input, we select checkbox. So what I just did now, we want to rename the text to compare. So that's what we see here. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a collection, right? So what is a collection? A collection is like having a table to hold contents within your app, and this is temporary contents. So for those of us that are a bit experienced with Power Apps, we may be asking the question, oh, we have collection and we have collect, we have clear collect. What's the difference between the two? So the major difference between collect and clear collect is whenever you come back to your application, clear collect is saying remove all the data that is inside this collection and start afresh. But if you just use collect will keep accumulating whatever data that is in the collection. Like it will keep adding more data as you come back to the application. But clear collect will say remove what is there and take a fresh collection. And this is especially this is most commonly used when you are pointing to a SharePoint. You are pointing to a SharePoint list. But what we usually do is when you for some other applications that are a bit more complex, you don't want your users to be connecting to your data source every time. You want them to have a temporary storage of what is on your data source on your app. So you create a collection for it for the purpose of while they are working on the application. And when they are done, all the data disappears. So you use clear collect. So on start of the app will just go into the SharePoint list and pick out all the table, all the columns that are there, and whatever data is present there based on what you specify. Okay, so having said that, now we're going to come to our checkbox. Select your checkbox and say uncheck. So on check of this checkbox, what do you want to happen? We want to create a collection. So collect called compare list. Please mute your mic. Oh, okay, something on name is invalid. Okay, text from okay, 1 second. I know what the problem is. So what's the problem? It's good I encountered this so that when you encounter it, you know what the problem is. The problem is that my checkbox is not inside my gallery. So I need to delete it. Click on my gallery and then come to input checkbox. Okay, still staying outside. And click on. Okay, so it's inside it now. So come back here, maybe it's compare. Come to uncheck. Uncheck, undo, collect. Compare list. The name of my collection does this item. So you can see that now is already predicting this item, which was not the case before because my checkbox was outside my gallery. All right, that done. Text. The next thing we're going to do is we'll go to on check. So you know what we did before was on check. Now we'll do on check. So what I was saying, when I uncheck this, what do I want to happen? I want to remove the items that are in the collection, this item. Okay, then after that, so let's test what we have just done now. So I come to play. So I've selected 3 computers now. So I come out of my preview mode. So when I come to collection, so I come to my view and I go to collections. You can see my compare list there, and you can see the items I selected coming up inside the collection. Okay, so if I go back now, I come to preview again and I uncheck the items like this. I'm sure where the third one was. So let me see. Come back to collection. Yes, sir. Okay, this one is still there. So expire. I think it's this one. So basically, what I've just seen now is when you uncheck the device, it goes out of the collection, which was what we said in our instruction, that you should remove it from the collection, and when you check it, it keeps it there. So that's done. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to the manufacturer gallery. So we want to ensure that whenever the gallery comes up, it shows us something by default, right? It's not empty. So you come to manufacturer gallery and click on defaults. So here you set first manufacturers and you click on close. Okay, so after that, next thing we're going to do is we now want to add a screen to compare. We want to add a compare screen, right? So let me save my app. Always remember to save our app, though it also auto saves, but it's only auto save after the first time you have saved it. So we're going to add a new screen now for our comparison. So you come to home, click on new screen, you pick a blank screen, and we call that blank screen compare screen. Like Ibrahim mentioned last week, it's important for us to ensure that we always name our screens properly. So I click on compare screen, right? Then the next thing I want to do inside my screen is to so now the next thing I want to do is I want to add buttons, right, on my main screen. So I'm going to come back to main and I'm going to insert a button here. So come to insert, click on the button. Button comes up here. So I drag this button somewhere here on the screen, right? Then afterwards, the next thing I'm going to do is I want to add a property, right, that will help me to know how many items I'm comparing at the moment. So on the text of this button, I'm going to select text, then come here and do compare. So if you remember last week, Ibrahim mentioned that when you want to add a formula to a string, you use the ampersand button. Then I do count rows, right? In my compare list, that's my collection, and items include a string called items or items. So when we test this, we'll understand what it does. So I come here, okay, so it's showing that I have one item selected. So that's the same one item I've been looking for. I can't find it. Let me play again. Let's see. Let me come here. Okay. Anyway, so this just shows us how many items that you have now. So if I come here and I click this way, you can see that it's increasing the count. So you're just counting the number of rows in the collection. And show you the number of items that you are paying at the moment. So the next thing we're going to do is all right. So we want to control the button by setting the display property to disable. The display mode, once set it to disable if there are no items in our collection. So I click on it and I come here and say display mode. So the properties are arranged alphabetically. I mean, I didn't know that for a while, so I'm always scrolling up and down. So they are arranged alphabetically, so you can always find what you want very easily using alphabetical order. So if our count rows in our collection, so if you are typing your formula and what you are typing is not predicting, you know that there's something wrong. So like you saw at the beginning where my checkbox was not inside my gallery, you can see that when I was typing this item, nothing was coming up, and it had that red squiggly line under it. That shows that there's something wrong with my formula, and that's why I'm making you that, okay, this thing is, there's something I'm missing, and I discovered that the checkbox was not inside the gallery. So display mode dot edit or display mode dot disabled. All right. So what it's basically saying is if you go into the compare list and you count the rows there and the rows are greater than 0, then make the button editable. If it's else. So basically, when you use the if condition, you say this is the first action it's going to take, else it takes the second action. So that's how the if works. So you're saying if this condition is not met, then the next thing you should do is make this disabled. So whenever you see if and then you see something happening afterwards and then another comma after that, know that that's what it's talking about. Okay, so another good thing about PowerApps is you can copy and paste. Okay, so let me see. Let me uncheck. Just confirm that what we did is working. This one item that is refusing to go. Let me see. Okay, let me see what the item is. Let me come to my collection. View collection. ASA, all in one. Okay, so let me come back here. Connect. ASA, all in one. I don't know which one it is now. I think it's this. Okay, let me, I don't know, save this. Let me close and reopen it. So edit. Okay, so while that is coming up, we're going to have another button for our clear selection. Okay. Okay, we're back. Okay, great. So we can see here that it's grayed out, which means that our formula is working, right? So it's grayed out, display mode. Right, you can see that it's grayed out, and so it means that this is working because I currently have no selections. I'm just going to copy this and do control. I just did control copy and control paste. So now I'm going to use this to clear my selection. So what I'm going to do is change my text on this button to clear selection. So you always remember to put your string in quotes. Clear selection, right? Now, I now go to my on select of the button. So when this button is selected, on select, on select of the button, what do I want to happen? I want it to clear my collection. So use the clear formula, clear compare list, and I close it. All right, so now that we've done this, we can test, play, select to, and clear. So it has become 0. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is.
Hello, Foyi.
I'm with you. Hi.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if we can interrupt to ask questions, right?
Please, yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Now, I understand the concept of the compare items and the clear selection, but I just want to understand why you are putting them there, right? And secondly, when you clicked on clear selection, I noticed that the checkbox, the 2 checkboxes that were already checked, did not clear? That's my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, I noticed it too. So what it's doing is clearing the selection. It's not unchecking. Right? It's clearing the selection, but it's not unchecking it.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So if you want it to uncheck, you probably have to include another control to help us uncheck it. So that said, another thing that you can now do is you can group your labels together. So like all of this is my header. So I can come here, click on group, and name this my header. So I can copy this and take it here. So instead of starting from the beginning again and you are trying to create label again and do all of those controls again, you can copy and paste within the app like I mentioned earlier on. So that will save you a lot of time. Okay, so now on this, we're going to, on this our compare screen, we're going to copy the gallery, this device gallery. I'm just going to copy it and paste it here. And then the next thing we want to do is sorry, 1 second. All right, so sorry, please, I need to quickly attend something. 1 second, please.
Hello, Ibrahim. Ibrahim.
Hello, yes.
Oh,
Hello?
yes. Good evening, my brother. Good evening.
Good evening.
And happy lockdown. So I have a question, please, and it's while waiting for you to be back. The question is around licensing, right? Now, can one create, these apps on a trial version or on a desktop version, talking from Power BI experience, if you understand what I mean. I know it should still be limited, but do we have a PowerApps, licensed model like that of Power BI where you can have where you can create some things without you having the full version of the license.
Okay, so before now there used to be desktop version. I think that has been deprecated.
Okay.
So everything is fully online now. Then
Okay.
if you go for a trial version, so for instance, you create an account with any of the license with any of the licenses.
Okay.
So you are able to do all of this.
Okay.
So you are able to do all of this. So far you have so far is within the license that has PowerApps as part of the suite. So you're able to do all of this.
Okay. Because I tried one sometimes back, and I think it was a 30-day trial.
Okay.
Yeah. So after a while, or probably because I didn't, build it on Canvas. Does it matter?
Okay. So where did you build it on the desktop app?
No, I built it on this environment as well, on this web environment, not on the desktop. Yeah.
No, it should work fine. It should work fine.
Because I got notification that the 30-day trial would end at so date, which already ended.
Okay, so from experience, I say after the 30 days, I think there's still the tendency that they can still they would still extend for another 30 days.
Oh,
so
really?
After that 30 days, they can now delete your account or everything you have in the environment.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So one other question is, is there a way by which one can buy, do they have a bundle license that has all the power, what's it called together, that has a Power Automate, Power Apps, Power BI together? Is there a bundle license like that? Or you have to buy them separately?
I think there should be. So for me, the license I'm familiar with is I know there is E5. E5 is the biggest of all. E5 should have all of this. Yes, E5 has all of this. You said?
No. Sorry, do you mean this PowerApps and everything?
Yes.
Even the lowest plan.
Okay.
That's of 85 business essentials has PowerApps and everything, and Power Automate and then your CDS and everything in it. That essential plan that I think is $5 per user.
Okay, essential.
Business essentials, yes, it has it as a part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, sorry, apologies for the break. Okay, so yes, so what we're going to do is we're just going to keep this gallery to the left, because we'll be using the space on the right for our form, which we would take in the next class. The class is a continuous class, so we'll just always pick up from where we left the last time. So now we're going to rename this gallery let me call it my compare list gallery. Compare list gallery. Okay. And then I'm going to take this out and point it to my collection, my compare list collection. Then I will just do a few. Okay, so let me make some selections so that it will not be empty. Let me just do that. Okay, so then I can take out this, and then okay, we have our system name here, we have the price here. I'm going to change this to the manufacturer name, so this will be my this item dot manufacturer name, like that. Then I can do you can also do some formatting to your text, Like you can make it bold or semi-bold based on it. Like you mentioned yesterday, you can pick the formattings from here or by the side on your right here. So if you want to make the text bigger, make it semi-bold, you can also increase 20. So what are there are some other things I want to show on this screen, like some details about the computer, like the memory, right? So I want to also display, let me bring this down, and copy and paste. I will bring this there and change this to
Please, can you help us mute your mic?
okay. So all right, now we are going to put a template fill on the item that we have selected. So the same way we did in our device gallery the last time. I think, let me check. If you have anything here, template fill, no. So let me come to my device gallery. Like I said, you can copy and paste. So come to template fill here. Is it device or, let me check. Sorry, it's manufacturer, not device. Template fill. I can just select this, copy it, then come to my compare list gallery. So this would highlight whatever item I'm currently on at the moment. Okay, so all these are just basic formatting things. Then we now also need an icon to take us back, right? So let's assume that you have selected some things, you want to go back. So let me reduce this a bit, increase this a bit. Okay, so you come to your icons. Insert icons, scroll for back. So icons is also another thing that we should leverage on instead of using images all the time, because images are heavy and they can make our application to be slow when it's loading. So you can, if there's an icon that depicts what you are trying to show, you can just use that icon for that. So I bring it up here. I don't want it as black, I want white. Come here, change it to white. Then on select, go back. This back. All right. So now that that is done, we can now test our application. So I come to save. Save my app, save. Come back. Okay. I'm supposed to navigate to that screen. All right, so let me include my navigate now. So I come here, main screen. On select, I want it to navigate to my compare screen. Then you can also include your transition Screen transition, cover right, different ones. I can say none, transition none, and then I close this out. Okay, so let's test our application at this point. Click on play. So let me compare some laptops that look interesting and that are within the budget of my grade level. So if I come here, okay, you can see these are the items I've selected, and I can see the RAM of all those items. So I can decide that, no, I think this ASUS is having a RAM that is too low for me. This ASUS and this ASUS. So you can go back to your original screen. You can uncheck the ASUS because this one. There was another Acer also selected. So basically, I'm sure that we get to this point, we understand what we're trying to achieve, right? So this is just it, and you can play around with it also. So if you look at the Excel sheet, you see other properties of the device. You can add them on as labels. I have added just the memory, but there's some other things that you feel, oh, as a user, in my interest, then they may want to see. You can also add that on as it, and then you can go back. So I exit my preview screen, and what I want to do now, the final thing you do on your app is to share it. So anybody that if you don't share your application with anybody, they will not be able to use it. So you need to come to save, publish. So all this while I've been working on my application, I've not published it. So if you don't publish your application, no one will have access to it. It's just you that can see that this application is there. So you click on publish to publish this version. Once you click on publish this version, the app becomes public to anyone, and then you can click on share. So sharing it will give you a place where you can put in the names of the people you want to share with. Now, the thing about PowerApps is internal and is within your domain. So you cannot say, oh, you want to share with Foyin or you want to share with Ibrahim, and we're not existing accounts in your tenants. It's not going to work. So anybody you're putting here, it has to be somebody that is on your tenant, and then you can also set the rights that that person will have, whether it's user or owner. Owner means that I can go in and edit the application, but the user rights, person cannot go in to edit it. And then you can also decide if you want the person to get an email or not. So if the person gets an email, you can access the app from the email, or alternatively, you may want to write some stories about the app, like introducing them to the application. So you can copy your link from here and paste it within your email for them to use. So we're going to stop here for today. So the next class, we're going to show us going forward, like how you can now start to, we'll put in the form, how you can now fill a form to actually order the app, the device that you prefer out of all the devices you have selected. So we'll go into that. Then we'll also continue into, oh, you have made an order. If is your order around above your limit or not? If it's above a certain limit, it will go to a particular person to approve. If not, it will go to another person. So all of that. So in the process, we will go through all the apps in the Power Platform, Power Apps. We'll go through the CDS. We'll go through Power Automate. We'll go through Power BI. So that is like the plan for the next couple of weeks. So I want to thank you for joining us, and I want us to stay with us as we go along this journey. It will increase your comfort and confidence level. As you can see, we're all learning. Even when I did the exercise myself on my own, starting from last week's own, even into today's own, there are still some new things that I learned from it. So I don't know if you have any questions you'd like to ask us regarding maybe Power Apps in general or what we have touched on today?
Yes, thank you very much, Foyi. I have a question, please.
Please go ahead, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, when you were rounding off, you said you could only share the application with people within your domain, right? Is there a model within Power Apps that you can share with people outside your domain?
Okay, so outside your domain, what Power Apps has for people outside the domain is what we call the Power Apps portals, right? So there's something called Power Apps portals. So if you want to create a new app, you see Power Apps portals, and their idea is, okay, there's been a lot of requests where people are saying, oh, we need to have a way we can connect with our vendors. We need to have a way we can connect with our partners. And since you're saying Power Apps is only for guys on our domain, how do we do this? Then they came up with the Power Apps portal, which is like you are trying to build a website. This is a portal from blank. You are trying it to come up with a website feel, and then things like maybe you want your customers to go to a place to submit a ticket or submit an issue. So you can put a simple form there. They can go there. This is my issue, and when they submit it, it submits into the CDS. So the database is within the Power Apps environment. Or somebody wants to order something, some new device, you can give them a form that they can fill. So that's what is available for guys that are not on your domain. So even with this Power Apps portal, you can decide, oh, you don't want any authentication at all. You want it to be completely anonymous, or you want some form of authentication. So that flexibility is available on the Power Apps portal.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes. Please, do you have any other questions? Okay, in the absence of none, I would like to say a big thank you to every one of us for joining in, and I trust that we have learned a thing or two. I want to encourage us again not to just watch alone. Please, in your spare time, go to your environment and create this thing also. You know, when you are looking at it, you'll be looking like, oh, I understand. But it's when you start typing the formula, you start to ask yourself, is it a full stop or a comma that is supposed to come next? So all those things, when you try it out, is what will make us get more familiar with the application. All right, then. So a big thank you to everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you also, Ibrahim. Thank you, Jumoke. Thank you, Titi. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We appreciate you, and then we'll see you same time next week.
Thanks, Toye. Thanks, Ibrahim. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.